Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the automation campaign, where in the last episode we had a little bit of a rebirth. The company has been sold to a new owner, yet again, a Japanese one, and we've pretty much started from zero yet again, and hopefully this will be the last time. Third time lucky is what I'm saying. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about what we're going to do in this episode. So the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to build a new factory, because the factory we have right now is not enough. So we're going to go with a large factory, or a large plot, and I mean I'd really like a large factory. Let's do a large one factory, and with an iron foundry because we're going to need it for the engine. And for the time being, this should be enough to keep the production of this engine going for a good while. And I mean, it depends on how long this factory actually takes to build. So let's increase the quality of our workers a little bit. So there you go. So that's 12 months until the first shifts come in. And does it tell me anywhere how long it's going to take for me to build this factory? That would be very interesting to know, because the last thing I want is to start building this factory and it taking like 4 years, because we need this kind of quick. So we'll do a little bit on tooling, a little bit of quality, and increase the QA threshold to 87.5, which means that anything that falls below that will either be redone, thrown out, or will end up being a recall. So 413 million, there you go, total build time 38 months. That's a lot of time. I would rather, if it was, I'd rather have it less. Is there any way I could make this less? Maybe if we build a large, a medium 3 factory, does that take less time? It doesn't do much. It doesn't make much of a difference. So I'm assuming this takes 49 months. Okay, so we're gonna do with a large one factory, and we can keep upgrading this as we go along. The one factory that we have right now is just going to have to work overtime for a few years, which is not ideal. It's really not ideal. So we're not going to be able to sell as many cars as we would like, but it'll have to do for the time being. So 413 million for this. Actually, we can definitely increase some of these values then. So to have 2.5 shifts, about there you go. So we can have a worker quality of 70% and 2.5 shifts by month 39. This factory finishes building by month 38, so that should be fine. So we'll sign off on this without a loan, because we do not want debt, and we'll sign off on that. And yeah, let's work on, well, facelifting our format. And so let's begin with the S, and realistically all I want to do is I want to keep the same formula for the car that I already have, but I also want to try and make this, I want to make the car definitely look better, because I'm not really all that happy with the way that it looks. I could definitely improve a thing or two on it, especially on the rear end and working on the stuff that I pretty much just forgot. But yeah, let's have a look at, first of all, doing the alignment, which is very important. So we'll leave this at 0, but definitely pulling these out a little bit. So there you go, that looks a lot better already. And it has also improved handling, I think. Yeah, it's definitely improved handling, so that's brilliant. And what else has come through that we could definitely make use of? So we've got ABS now, which I'm going to throw on there because innovation is the name of the game for this company. And I mean, yeah, this is sort of realistic. This is already a pretty good base of how I want the car to be. I mean, how are we looking on this front? So we could definitely do a little bit of work on the gearbox. The wheels themselves, I'm pretty happy with the way they are. We could probably put a little bit of quality into that, and that should be fine. Because what we want, so we want this car to release once that factory is done. So all that small factory, all it has to do is supply for the car that we have currently being sold. This car will then be released when the big factory is in play, and then we'll use the small factory to produce an engine that we won't need to make as many of. So yeah, let me have a little fiddle around with this car, definitely make it look better, and I'll be back with you guys shortly. And here we have it, the facelifted format, and I still have no idea how to pronounce it, by the way. Yeah, I basically just reworked the front a little bit to make it look more somewhat interesting. And yeah, I also redid the whole rear, and I think it does look better. It looks a bit weird, I think, with the headlights being so low, the tail lights being so low, but I think it works. It's definitely got character, this vehicle does. And I mean, yeah, I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. I added some indicators, realized I also forgot the windshield wipers and stuff like that, added some roof racks, and generally just tried to improve the quality of the design of this car. So let's quickly do the same thing for the economy version, and I'll be back with you. And so let's have a look at this. So it'll take 16 months. So how much? It was 38 months that we want this to take realistically. So we'll do this, we'll optimize the process, we'll automate the process some more, and I guess they could do a bit of learning. And if we can, there you go, 38 months, brilliant. And that way, once this vehicle releases in just over 3 years, it'll be the beginning of 1987, I believe, if my maths adds up correct, or 87 or 88. And then we'll have the new factory up and running, and we'll have the facelifted vehicle. So let's go into here, retool the factory, and we should be good to go. So in fact, we could make a larger factory out of this as well, which means the engine factory will start to be overworked a tiny bit again, but we can work that out by just increasing reducing the automation on this, and then that way we can get it just... Actually, we can increase the quality of the QA threshold. So there you go, 88.5. Reduce the automation a little bit, and then increase the QA threshold. 91% QA threshold, that's ridiculous, but this will work out fine, I think. So let's complete the design, and let's have a look how this vehicle is going to do. And this is already all green, so I'm hoping it's going to stay all green, because if it's... Oh, those are some lovely numbers. Look at that. Never did I think that we could actually do this with this company, but I guess this rebirth has really done wonders for this company. So let's calculate the forecast of 11,000 and 10,000 on the S and the E, and we should be making nearly 10 billion with the B in profit. That is a lot of juicy money, which I'm really looking forward to. So let's, yeah, this should be fine. Let's sign off on this, and we will be happy. Sign off, and brilliant. There you go. No loans, nothing. And to complement this engine releasing, which I've just realized is going to be a bit of an issue considering that this factory is already being overworked, but I'm going to begin on another little project. And this little project is probably going to be more of a delivery focused vehicle, like a passenger fleet delivery focused vehicle, you know, sort of like a minivan, van kind of thing. So let's do passenger fleet. I know this vehicle that we have is already quite popular in the passenger fleet segment, but we could probably work something out. So one of these bodies is what I'm thinking, or is there a more modern one? Let's have a look. I don't think there is. I didn't see one when I was looking around. No. so ignore my mouse. Yeah, so we're going to use probably the 2.3 meter long, 2.5 meter I think should be fine on the people mover. It is a very wonky looking build. It's going to be a fairly interesting build, I think, is what we're going to describe this. It's going to be something that this company never considered making, but will. So, because we are focusing on innovation and vehicles are supposed to be innovative from us, we're going to do partial aluminium on the panel. We're going to do a monocoque chassis with just a standard steel material. Now, I would really like to go rear engine, but I don't think our engine will fit, so we'll do solid coil on. We'll do McPherson strut. We'll do a bit of an interesting vehicle, and yeah, both engines are red, so we're gonna have to make it front engined. So front engine, I think we're gonna go with transverse here. So we're going to do semi-trailing arm on the rear, which means yes, all the vehicles are going to be front wheel drive, but that's sort of what we're going to want from this vehicle anyway. We're going to do a manual 4-speed like we did with the other vehicle, and it appears that it has not much of a top speed, and we're going to figure that out shortly. We're going to do radial, we're going to do hard long life compound tires, and let's see if we can make the tires a little bit, the wheels a bit bigger. I think that should be fine. We'll do 185s to begin with. I think I might actually bring them down to 175s. And yeah, let's do vented discs on the front. I think drums should be fine on the back, but we'll sort that afterwards. We'll do fully clad under tray, and I mean, as this is supposed to be a bit more of a premium vehicle, we're going to go with a 2 full seat configuration in the rear with a standard interior and a standard 8-track, which we will later facelift into something nicer. We're going to do a manual recirculating ball with ABS, standard 80 safety, and progressive and gas monotube suspension, which, to begin with, is showing some good signs. I want to say some good ideas. And this is creating understeer. Wait, hold on. This is going to be brilliant if I can do this. So we'll do that at 0. So this is bringing it up. So the suspension tuning is very good from a beginning, from starting out. The brakes could definitely do it with a bit of size increase and force increase, definitely on the front. That is ridiculous how powerful I have to make them on the front. And the drum brakes on the rear are obviously going to be tiny, with not a lot of force. Now, I might have to make them maximum size here, which isn't necessarily what I wanted to do, but we'll do a more of a comfortable pad, and what we're going to do is we're going to increase the brake airflow. That way we won't have as much fading, especially on the front, which I don't want any fading for, especially on utility, because this is a utilitarian focused vehicle. And yeah, this should be a decent vehicle, I think. I think this is definitely something we could sell. So let me get to fiddling around with the different aspects of this vehicle, and I'll be back with you guys shortly. So really what we are doing here is we're just trying to make a vehicle that sells well, and I think we are on for a winner here, because I mean, this is sort of a multi-purpose vehicle, I want to say. And one thing I also would like to say is I would like to know how to put these cars up to the repository. I feel like it would be really fun for you guys to be able to just drive around in these cars and, you know, maybe make your own little tweaks or something. Maybe if I could somehow get the files for these vehicles out there, that would be really fun to see what you guys could do with these vehicles. And I mean, yeah, I think this vehicle turned out really nice. It looks very similar to the Format, which I'm very happy with, and generally the interior looks really nice. I think the exterior looks decent for a minivan, and all in all, I think this is turning out to be a decent vehicle, especially with the engine in it. I absolutely love the engine. That 8,000 RPM redline is just so it's incredible. And I mean, I know these cars are boring at the moment, but trust me, they will change. They will get more exciting. I know the engine is probably the only thing exciting about them, but this is sort of a time period where cars were really boring. I mean, there was a lot of innovating going on at the time, so I am trying to I am trying to replicate that in the builds that I make, but from a visual standpoint that is really difficult to do, because it was just semi-square, semi-round, the cars really didn't look special. They just were blobs on wheels, really. So it is difficult to try and make the cars look really interesting when the time period just doesn't allow it. But I feel like we did a decent job with this vehicle, and I'm hoping that in the years that will come that the vehicles will turn into something more interesting from a visual standpoint. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is. For the time being, these cars aren't very interesting, but soon hopefully we can work on a sports car. So yeah, hopefully we can speak with our parent company to ask them to lend us an engine, which would be lovely, because then we won't have to spend too much on tooling it ourselves, and yeah, we could work on making a sports car. As for the interior of this vehicle, this took so much longer than I expected, hence why this video is coming out a bit later. This took me hours and hours and hours, because the thing is, the engine was exactly where I wanted the seats to be, so I had to cover those. And then I had to try and make the interior look good, even though it was so big. There is so much interior in this car. To try and make it look good, it was really difficult. And then every single time I wanted to put a floor into the vehicle, it would just show through the wheel wells. It was very difficult to try and make work, and I still think that I've missed something somewhere. But that's something we'll look into in future facelifts. But yeah, I mean, the vehicle turned out really nice. I'm really happy with it, and I hope you guys enjoyed as well. So yeah, I'll be back with you guys once the time lapse has ended. And so this is the final product, and my goodness, did it take a lot more work than I was expecting. More specifically the interior. I mean, the front end looks pretty much like the normal vehicle that we have, so the Format. But yeah, I mean, this just took so much work. I mean, the rear end is once again relatively boring, but I managed to make it somewhat interesting with the indent here, and I've just seen that this is deciding to play around a little bit. But yeah, I decided to try and see if I could get some vertical rear lights in, which worked out quite nicely, I think. But I mean, the real star of the show is this interior. This took me way longer than I wanted it to, but I want to say that this looks pretty good. I mean, I'm happy with it, and if you look at it from the outside, it looks like it genuinely has an interior, which is something that I find really cool. So I mean, maybe the seat color doesn't really work, but I have no idea how to change those without making it the interior, well, without making the seats look horrific, so I'm just going to leave them the way they are. And yeah, I mean, it's nothing special, it's just 3D placed objects, and attempting to try and make it not too complicated on myself, but yeah, I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. So yeah, I mean, let's make a van variant of this, so we can have at least 2 variants of this vehicle, and then we'll get it up for sale. And here we have the van variant, and I think these are genuinely decent looking vehicles. And I mean, yeah, it's just a van. Really nothing special. It's pretty much just the same vehicle as the people carrier, just without the seats in the back. So yeah, let's get these cars up for sale and we'll see what we can get out of them. And so, I did forget to mention that this thing is called the Dancer. I'm pretty sure there is a proper pronunciation for this word, much like with the from Mart. I remember someone told me about it. From Mart. I'm pretty sure that's correct. I hope that's correct. But yeah, I forgot how long we needed to make sure that this it was 38 months, wasn't it? So we'll make the vehicle a little bit more reliable, and I guess we'll do a little bit more manual work on it, because in the end this is just going to be one of those mass-produced vehicles that we don't want to worry about. So I'm going to do 38 months by increasing the reliability and making sure it's a bit more work focused instead of learning focused for this vehicle. So the engine project, we don't need to open that. The factory, we're going to need a new one, which is already beginning to eat a lot into our finances, but we'll do a medium plot. Actually, we'll do a large plot with a medium factory on it. If we ever need to upgrade, that's a good way to go. So we'll do the 3. We'll do a medium 3, which means we still... Wait, we're overworking the engine factories. Lovely. I already knew that was going to happen, because we just never have enough engines. So let's have a look here. So we want to have the maximum shift be 2.2, minimum shift 1.5, and I guess we'll up the worker quality by a fair amount, reduce wages a bit. I'll see if I can get to 80% wages, because that's when we really start making some proper money. So 2.5 shifts by 38 months, which is brilliant, exactly when the vehicle's coming out. We should have a lot of vehicles being produced for a decent price. So that's about 6,000 profit, $6,000 in profit, which is a decent margin. I'm very happy with that. I mean, a real car, that would be a lot of money. So I guess we'll increase the automation and the tooling a little bit. We'll increase the QA threshold. It doesn't have to be stupidly high. Like I said, this is just a van. I mean, it has to be reliable. That's sort of what vans are for. So in fact, let's increase the QA threshold, 86.5. So let's sign off on that. Now let's have a look here at what sort of profits we could be looking at if this vehicle does make us profit. And that is a really, really good start. I mean, it's the sort of, like, let's count in the factory costs and everything into the forecast, because this is we are having to pay for the factory of this vehicle, so we'll have to make sure that's crazy. So let's actually do 11,500 and then do 10,800 for the van. Actually no, this is the wrong way around. I want them to be priced the other way around, so realistically we want this to be priced about 10.5 and this one about 11. Let's do 11. Oh, that's 101,000. 11. There you go. So let's have a look here. If we're still making more or less profits, then I'm very happy. 2.9 billion. So let's increase the price a tiny bit. I mean, after all, we do want this to be a mass-produced vehicle that people will want to buy, but we also want to control that people aren't buying too many, that we are going into negative stock. So I'm going to leave it like that. We'll be making about 3.2 billion after 10 years, which we'll have many facelifts and probably the next generation by then, but the first couple years, that's a nice amount of profit that we're looking at here, so I'm very happy with that. So let's sign off on this vehicle. Yes, the engine factory is going to be overworked, but that's sort of, we sort of have to live with that, and we can easily take this hit to the company. We should, well, we've got $1.6 billion, so this should get us set up really nicely. And then after this, I reckon we'll build one more factory, or, well, one more engine and one more vehicle factory, and then we should try and work on making sure our range is as profitable as possible. So, yeah, we're going to wait until the next episode for these two to release, but in the meantime, we're going to go into BeamNG and test out both of them. And here we have the revised From Art And I think it turned out really nicely in BeamNG, especially the interior. I mean, yes, the seats are very glossy. Ignore that, but I think the vehicle in general just looks really good in this game. So let's give it a little test drive. And I mean, it is just a normal car. I mean, I've had a little test drive with it, and I found that it handles like any normal car really should. But one thing I do really like about this car is the engine. I mean, yes, it's very understeery, this car, but when you're going slow, you don't have to worry about that at all. Like, it'll grip up and it'll just do the corner, even if you're on full throttle. So, but no, seriously, the engine on this car is genuinely incredible. The way that it revs up to 8,000 RPM so effortlessly. That was just a little second gear pull, and I wasn't even on the motorway yet. This car is genuinely really fun, and the engine just, I think the engine is a really big factor into why this car is so much fun to drive, because just listening to it absolutely not tear itself to pieces, but 8,000 RPM is a lot, and it's really stable at high speeds as well. I mean, this infamous corner has already taken the life of one of these cars, so let's see if we stay on throttle, if that helps anything. It does. It really does. There you go. That worked. But no, genuinely, this is a really, really nice car. But yeah, now we arrive here and we have a van. And from a design standpoint, it looks very similar to the car that we've just driven. But from an actual vehicle standpoint, it's something completely different, which I'm really digging. I think it works really well for this vehicle, and I wouldn't be surprised if this does sell really well, because it has that same really sort of happy-go-lucky engine in it, which just revs all the way up to 8,000 RPM. In a minivan. Well, would you class it as a minivan? I guess you'd call it a minivan, yeah. This is brilliant. It's such a happy car, this. Like, I find that the engine plays a really big factor in these cars, and these engines are just exactly what you need to sell a car to a mass public. And in a second, oh no, wait, I took off the limiter, didn't I? I forgot to say I took off the engine limiter, which means we could just drive this car all the way to its top speed, which, yeah, it isn't much. It is a massive slab. It is quite angled on the front, but it's still a massive slab, so it's not going to go fast, because the amount of drag this vehicle will be producing is ridiculous. But no, this is a brilliant little vehicle. Let's have a little drive of the city to see if it handles just as well. Well, let's have a little look here. We're coming into sort of the old parts of the city, and this is really where this vehicle should be home at most, because this is where we want to try and sell as many vehicles as possible, in these sort of old built up areas where the roads are quite thin and narrow. I mean, I know I'm going down a one-way street now, but yeah, I mean, this is pretty much exactly what I want this vehicle to be. It's supposed to be sort of a taxi vehicle. I suspect this will be used mostly as a taxi, so ooh, that is something, that is a worry, how close the front gets to the floor when you're going down little hills like that. But I mean, it does just fine. It drives perfectly fine. I mean, it's not supposed to be having 1,000,000 miles an hour at top speed, so yeah, I'm really happy with the outcome of this vehicle. I'm 90% sure that this will sell really well and make us some really nice profits, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. But let's have a little park in here. There you go. Yeah, I'm really happy with the design of this vehicle. I'm really happy with the way this vehicle has turned out. But yeah, I'm going to have to end it there. It has been an absolute pleasure once again making these episodes for you. I know the vehicles haven't been all that exciting, but trust me, soon that will change. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a lovely day, take care, and bye-bye.